Hey there, geometry students. In this lesson, we are going to be talking about symmetry. Now, in geometry, a symmetry is where you bury dead polygons. No, actually, symmetry has a very technical definition in Saxon math, and it relates to transformations. Now, you're probably used to definitions of symmetry that are like folding an object on a line or folding a figure on a line, and then it perfectly folds on itself, or rotating it around a point and it perfectly rotates to make its original shape. And those are definitely true. But what we are going to be learning about symmetry relates back to transformations. We've been talking a lot about transformations lately, and we're going to define symmetry in terms of transformations. So, symmetry is a property shown when the image of a transformation, now remember, transformations have pre-images, the image you have before, and then the image is after the transformation. So when the image of a transformation of a figure coincides with its pre-image. In other words, we're going to do something to the figure, and whatever we do to it is going to make it return to its original pre-image shape and position. That's symmetry. There are two types of symmetry. You're going to see that one type of transformation is not represented when we talk about symmetry. So we're not going to be talking about a translation where we slide an object when we're talking about symmetry. We will be talking about reflections or line symmetry and rotational symmetry. Reflectional symmetry or line symmetry is when an image can be reflected across a line to coincide with its pre-image. This image here, this figure, has line symmetry because all these points to the right of the line would reflect to the points to the left, and all these points to the left of the line would reflect to these points on the right. So if I were to reflect this image across this blue line, then it would reflect back on itself and coincide with the original pre-image. A line of symmetry is the line that divides the figure into congruent reflected halves. That's this line here, and then I can reflect across this line. So as a line of reflection, this is also a line of symmetry because when I do the reflection, the figure looks exactly the same. It coincides with the pre-image. Rotational symmetry is similar. If an image can be rotated less than 360 degrees, so you can't just rotate the image all the way around in a full circle and say that it has rotational symmetry. But if it can be rotated less than 360 degrees and coincide with its pre-image, then we say it has rotational symmetry. Some objects you can only rotate, and like when you get halfway, it matches the original. Some objects will have like 3 points that match the original 1/3 of the way around the circle, or 4 points, 1/4 of the way around the circle, or 5, 1/5 of the way around the circle. Now, first of all, I'm going to say this. Whenever that happens, you're always going to have an evenly divided circle. So if I have like a triangle that's a regular equilateral triangle, it has rotational symmetry in such a way that at 120 degrees, it rotates on itself. At 240 degrees, and then back to 360 degrees, you're at the original. And so the order of rotational symmetry is the number of times a figure of rotational symmetry coincides with itself as it rotates 360 degrees. And when we talk about the order of rotational symmetry, the 360 degree mark actually counts. Okay. So a triangle would have three, its order of rotational symmetry would be three. All right, let's go ahead and work some practice problems where we talk about this. Oh, by the way, just one more thing. This figure has rotational symmetry because if I flip it upside down 180 degrees, it matches the original pre-image exactly. And then when I get back to 360 degrees, it matches again. So we would say that this figure has second order rotational symmetry, or its order rotational symmetry is 2. That's the correct way to say that. All right, let's take a look at the practice problems. Letter A, does the star have any lines of symmetry, and if so, how many? Well, I can draw some lines of symmetry in, and actually drawing lines of symmetry is one of the best ways to find lines of symmetry. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line on this star. Let's see if we can do that. And let's draw straight from the top to the bottom. I missed, so I'm going to have to draw the line and then move it over. That's fine, though. Okay. And let's see if we can find any lines of symmetry. Well, there's one where if I fold it on this line, it perfectly matches itself. Or if I rotate across this line, all the points on the left are going to rotate to the points on the right, and all the points on the right are going to rotate to the points on the left. Can I draw any more of those? Well, I could draw one like here, and one like here. Okay. I could also draw one like right here, and one right here. There's a total of 5 lines of symmetry in this figure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 without double counting this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so does the star have any lines of symmetry? If so, how many? It has 5 lines of symmetry, and I've drawn them all for you. You could see that a figure like this, because it's a complex figure, you're going to really have to inspect to find these lines of symmetry, but you can find them. What is the order of rotational symmetry of the star? Rotational symmetry now. Okay, so now I'm going to consider what would happen if we took the star and rotated it. Well, as I rotate through 1/5 of a circle, I'm going to see that when I get this point over to here, it's going to lie on itself. It's going to coincide with itself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As I turn it around, it's going to coincide with itself 5 times through 360 degrees. So we would say that its order of rotational symmetry is 5. And the angle of rotational symmetry, how do we get 72 degrees? Well, you take 360 and divide it by the order of rotational symmetry. 360 divided by 5 is 72. So that's an important point. To figure out the angle of rotational symmetry, you take the 360 degrees divided by the order of rotational symmetry. Triangle ABC has vertices at 0, 0, 2, 0, and 2, 3. If the triangle is reflected over the x-axis, will the first triangle and the reflected triangle have a line of symmetry? If so, where's the line? Okay, so let's see what they're talking about here. We're going to take a triangle, and if I think about these points, 0, 0, 2, 0, and 2, 3, this is going to be a right triangle, okay? It's going to be a right triangle with one vertex at 0, 0. So I need to actually do this to this triangle. Another vertex at 2, 0, and then this vertex is at 2, 3. So it's going to look kind of like this. Now it's saying we're going to take this and reflect it over the x-axis. Here in drawings, I can do a reflection by just doing a flip. And over the x-axis means we're going to do a vertical flip like this, okay? Now the question is, if we do this, does it have a line of symmetry? And the answer is yes. Okay, the triangle is reflected over the x-axis. Will the first triangle and the reflected triangle have a line of symmetry? If so, where is the line? It's the x-axis. It's along the line that we flipped our triangle across. So anytime you take an image and combine it with, a pre-image and combine it with its image that's flipped along one of its sides as the line of reflection, that line of reflection becomes a line of symmetry. Okay, so let me just make sure we did letter C right. The triangle would have a line of symmetry on the x-axis. Then letter D. If there were a regular polygon with 50 sides, how many lines of symmetry would it have? Okay, so here's the key. For regular polygons, they're going to have the same number of lines of symmetry as they have sides. Let's just explore that with a square. So according to this, a square should have 4 lines of symmetry. Now, this is maybe hard to visualize at first, but just bear with me. Here's one. I'm going to do my best to draw this in the right spot. I'm going to be off center a little bit. Oh, well. Okay, so one this way, one this way. Where are the other lines of symmetry, though, for a square? Well, could I fold it this way and it folds it on itself diagonally? Yeah, the diagonals make lines of symmetry too. That one's pretty awful, but you get my drift, okay? So we're going to have 4 lines of symmetry for a square. And it's true for any regular shape. The number of sides is the number of lines of symmetry. So a polygon with 50 sides would have 50 lines of symmetry. And also, a regular polygon with 50 sides, interestingly enough, is going to have an order of rotational symmetry because it's regular, it's going to rotate on itself. So you have an order of rotational symmetry of 50 as well. And to figure out the angle of rotational symmetry, we could take 360 divided by 50 to get that angle. Let's just check our work here. A 50-sided polygon has 50 sides, 50 lines of symmetry. And just keep in mind, it would also have an order of rotational symmetry of 50 and a angle of rotational symmetry that can be calculated by dividing 360 by 50. Right? And that's what you need to know about symmetry. Not that difficult, right? You should be able to work the problems for next time.